Hello students, in the last class we were discussing about the acceleration. Okay, so in the last class we have discussed that acceleration is denoted by A is equal to delta V upon delta T. Acceleration is rate of change of velocity or the change in velocity per unit time is known as acceleration, and it is given by delta V upon delta T, where delta V is change in velocity, that is final velocity minus initial velocity upon the time interval. So this was the formula for acceleration. Okay, and we have also discussed the types of acceleration: uniform, non-uniform, average and instantaneous. So now let us solve one problem based on acceleration. We have given a question: a car starts from rest. A car starts from rest and it moves with uniform acceleration. And it moves with uniform acceleration in 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, it attains a speed. It attains a speed of 72 km per hour. Find its acceleration. Find its acceleration. Okay, so this is our question. A car starts from rest and it moves with a uniform acceleration. In 10 seconds, it attains a speed of 72 km per hour. Then we have to find the acceleration. Okay, so let us start. The first sentence, look at the first sentence. It is a car starts from rest. What is the meaning of rest? That means the car is moving with a zero velocity. Rest means it is not moving. It means the initial velocity or the initial speed, which we denote by symbol U, initial speed will be equal to 0. Okay, you have to remember the formula V minus U upon delta T. What is U? U is initial velocity and V is final velocity. So at T is equal to, so the velocity is 0, initial velocity. That means at the instant when we start seeing the motion, it was at rest. That means U is equal to 0. And how much time is taken? It has taken, the time interval is 10 seconds, or we can say delta T. Delta means time interval or the change in time. So it takes a time of 10 seconds and attains a speed of 72 km per hour. That means the final velocity is 72 km per hour. Okay, so we have given U, T and V. Then we have to find the acceleration. So we can put the value in the formula. A is equal to V minus U upon delta T. But the most important thing which you have to remember always, that the units, all the units should be in the same format. Here we can see that the unit of velocity is kilometer per hour, but we have given the time in terms of second. So either you have to convert this kilometer per hour into meter per second or convert this time into hour. But the SI format is always meter per second. In SI unit, the distance is always measured in meter and time is always taken in second. So you will take the distance in always, you will take the distance in meter always and the time in second always. So what is the conversion? 1 kilometer per hour, it is equal to 5 upon 18 meter per second. You have to remember this. 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meter per second. So 72 kilometer per hour it will be equal to 5 upon 18 into 72. That will be 20 meter per second. Okay. So the value of final velocity, that is v, it was given us 72 km per hour. We have converted it into meter per second because we have given the time in terms of second. So we have also converted the velocity in terms of meter per second. Now we can put the value in the given formula. So A is equal to v minus u upon delta t. Here the final velocity is 20 minus initial velocity is 0. And the time interval is 10 seconds. It means it will be 20 by 10, which will be equal to 2 meter per second square. So the acceleration of this car is 2 meter per second square, and it is positive. Why it is positive? Because final velocity is greater than initial velocity. That's why the acceleration is positive. And what does positive sign indicate? It indicates that the acceleration is in the direction of velocity. In which direction the car is moving, acceleration is always in that direction. If there will be a negative sign, then it means it is a retardation or deacceleration. It means the acceleration will work against the direction of motion. Okay, so in this way we can solve the numerical based on acceleration. Let us solve one more question. Now the question is, a truck slows down. A truck slows down from 66 km per hour to 30 km per hour. A truck slows down from 66 km per hour to 30 km per hour in 10 seconds. In 10 seconds. Find the retardation. Find the retardation. Okay. So let's solve it. Truck slows down from 66 to 30. You will get the initial velocity and final velocity by studying the sentence very carefully. If you study the sentence, a truck slows down from 66 to 30. It means initially the truck was moving at the speed of 66 km per hour and it slows down to a speed of 30 km per hour. It means the initial velocity is 66 and the final velocity is 30. So we have given u is equal to 66 km per hour. And the final velocity v is 30 km per hour. And we have given the time interval 10 seconds. That is delta t is equal to 10 seconds. Now again in this question, the speeds of the velocities are in terms of kilometer per hour. But the time here it is given in terms of second. So we have to convert this kilometer per hour into second also. So first we will convert first term. It will be 66 into 5 by 18 meter per second, which will be equal to 55 upon 3 meter per second. We have converted initial velocity in terms of meter per second, multiplying it by 5 by 18. So we will get 55 by 3 meter per second. Okay. Similarly, the final velocity will be 30 into 5 by 18. it will be equal to 25 by 3 meter per second. And we have given the time interval delta t is equal to 10 seconds. Now you can find the value of acceleration. It is equal to v minus u upon t. In the question it is asked find the retardation. So we know the formula for acceleration or the retardation is same. The retardation only indicates that the acceleration is opposite to the direction of motion, which will come with negative sign also always. Okay, so we will use the same formula, that is the formula of acceleration, but its value will always comes out with negative sign. So let us check here also. A is equal to v minus u upon t. The value of v is 25 by 3 minus the value of u is 55 by 3 and the time interval is 10. So by taking LCM and solving, we will get 25 minus 55, that will be minus 30 upon 30. This 3 will multiply with 10, so we will get the value minus 1 meter per second square. So the value of acceleration is minus 1 meter per second square, and this minus sign is indicating that it is not an acceleration, it is a retardation. Or we can say that this acceleration is acting in the opposite direction of motion. So this is our answer. Retardation is minus 1 meter per second square. So note it down. Now let us solve some more questions based on average velocity and average speed. Now the question is, a motorcyclist drives from A to B, with a uniform speed of 20 km per hour. With a uniform speed of 20 km per hour and returns back with a speed of 15 km per hour. 15 km per hour. Find his average speed. Find his average speed and average velocity. Find average speed and average velocity. Okay, so this is the question. So let us suppose the motorcyclist starts from this point A and it starts moving with a uniform speed. It means this speed is constant, 20 km per hour from A to B. Let us consider this point is B. And the distance between A and B, let us consider this distance as S. Okay. So from moving from A to B, when it moves from A to B, then its speed is 20 km per hour. And when it returns from B to A, then this speed is from B to A, it is 15 kilometer per hour. Clear? We have to find the average speed and average velocity. So I think you know the formula of average speed. You should remember the formula of average speed. What was the formula? It is total distance upon total time. Average speed is equal to total distance upon total time. So if the distance from A to B is S, then what will be the distance from B to A? It will again S. So what will be the total distance? Total distance will be equal to S plus S, that is 2S. The distance from A to B, then the distance from B to A, that is the total distance 2S. Now we have to find total time. So let time from A to B be T1. Let us consider the time taken from moving A to B. That time is T1. And what is the formula of time? The formula of time is distance upon speed. As you have studied the formula of speed, speed is equal to distance upon time. So time is equal to distance upon speed. And what is the distance from A to B? This distance is S upon what is the speed from A to B? This speed is 20. It means the time taken from A to B will be equal to S upon 20. Similarly, time from B to A, let it be T2. This will have same formula again, distance upon speed, and this distance upon speed will be S upon what is the speed from B to A? The speed from B to A is 15, so it will be S upon 15. Okay, now as we know the formula of average speed, it is total distance upon total time. We have find the total distance, which is 2S. The total time will be T1, time from A to B plus time from B to A. So the time from A to B is T1 and time from B to A is T2. It means we can put the value of total time is equal to T1 plus T2. So the formula for average speed will come out to be average speed is equal to total distance. This total distance is 2S upon total time is T1 plus T2. Now we can put the value of T1 and T2 also. So we will get 2S upon T1 is equal to S upon 20 plus T2 is equal to S upon 15. Okay. Now you have to solve this term 2S upon S by 20 plus S by 15 and you will get the average speed. So solve it. If we solve it further, the LCM will be LCM of 20 and 15. It will be 60. LCM of 20 and 15 will be 60. So we will get 3S plus 4S and in the numerator it will be 2S. So we will get the value average speed is equal to this 60 will be multiplied. So it will be 2S upon 7S into 60. S will cancel out. So the average speed will be 120 by 7 kilometer per hour. Because both the speeds were given in terms of kilometer per hour. So the average speed will also be in terms of kilometer per hour. Okay. So in this way we can find the value of average speed. Now if we talk about average velocity. Then what was the formula for average velocity? It is total displacement upon total time. Total displacement upon total time. Okay, at the place of distance, here it is displacement. And what will be the value of displacement in this complete journey? Since he starts from A, reaches to B, then again starts from B and reaches at point A. It means what is total displacement? The total displacement will always be 0. As I already told you, when a body starts from a point and after covering a larger distance returns back to the same point, then the displacement is always 0. Okay, because displacement is the shortest path between initial and final position. So if he starts from A and again returns back to A, then the distance between A and A will be 0. So the displacement is 0. And if displacement is 0, then what will be average velocity? Average velocity will always be 0. So average speed is coming out to be 120 by 7 km per hour and average velocity is equal to 0. Clear? So in this way, we have solved the problem based on average speed, average velocity and acceleration. Now we are going to start the classification of motion. In our first class, we came to know about rest and motion. What is rest, what is motion, what is frame of reference, and we have studied about all the terms related to motion, that is distance, displacement, speed, velocity and acceleration, and we have also studied about their types, that was uniform, non-uniform, average and instantaneous. Okay, now we are going to classify the motion. How we will classify the motion into different types and which type of motion we have to study in our syllabus, that we are going to start. Okay, so the main chapter of motion is going to start now. So we are going to discuss the types of motion. So motion are broadly classified in two ways. The first way to classify the motion is according to the change in position, and the second type is according to the uniformity and non-uniformity. So let us classify the motion. The motion can be classified as one-dimensional motion, two-dimensional motion, one-dimensional motion, two-dimensional motion and three-dimensional motion. It is also known as 1D, 2D and 3D motion. This is one classification of motion, 1D, 2D and 3D. We will discuss it later on in detail also. And the second classification is it is divided as uniform motion, and second one is non-uniform motion. Uniform motion and non-uniform motion. Okay, non-uniform motion is further divided into two parts. First one is uniformly accelerated motion. Uniformly accelerated motion. And second type is non-uniformly accelerated motion. So it is the basic classification of the motion. Okay, so we have to study about 1D, 2D and 3D motion, then uniform motion and non-uniform motion, and we have to study, that is in our syllabus, is uniformly accelerated motion. This motion is not in our syllabus. This is not in our syllabus, non-uniformly accelerated motion. and rest of all the types of motion we have to study. Clear? So let us start from one-dimensional motion. What is one-dimensional motion or 1D motion? So what is one-dimensional motion? As we have already discussed about the coordinate axis and the frame of reference. Let us suppose it is our x-axis and this is y-axis. So this will be our origin. Let us consider it as the frame of reference. So as the word indicate, one-dimensional motion. As we came to know about the motion, when the position of an object changes with respect to time in a given frame of reference, then we say that that object or that particle is in motion. Okay, it means when the position changes, then we will say that the particle is in motion. Now, if the position of the particle changes only in one direction, if the position of the particle changes only in one direction, then the motion is said to be one-dimensional motion. Or we can say that if we represent the position in terms of coordinate axis, for example, if it is point A, or suppose the simple method is, let us consider this is like x-axis. If the particle was initially at this point A, and after some time the particle is at point B. So if we consider the motion from A to B, this motion is taking place on x-axis. This motion is taking place on x-axis. It means only the x coordinate is changing. There is no change in y coordinate of the particle. Okay, so there is change in only x coordinate, no change in y coordinate. So whenever a particle performs a motion in such a way that only one coordinate changes, then that motion is known as one-dimensional motion. So note down the definition. When only one coordinate of position of a particle changes with time in a given frame of reference, then the motion is said to be one-dimensional motion. Okay, so note down this definition. When only one coordinate of the position of a particle changes with the time in a given frame of reference, then the motion of that particle is said to be one-dimensional motion. Okay, since we have three coordinate axes, x-axis, y-axis, and third axis is z-axis. So there will be three coordinates. Okay, so if in all the three coordinates only one coordinate is changing, then the motion is said to be one-dimensional motion. Okay, for example, what will be the example of one-dimensional motion? If we talk about the example, then what will be the example of one-dimensional motion? Suppose the linear motion. If we talk about the linear motion, any particle moving in a straight line. Okay, for example, if a car is moving on a straight road, the car is following a straight path. Okay, it is not moving here and there, it is moving in a straight way. Then we will say that only one coordinate, x coordinate, is changing, so the motion of that car will be said to be one-dimensional motion. Or if you draw a line, suppose we have drawn this line, okay, and you start moving from there, you start running on this line only, you start from this point A and reaches up to point B following this line. Okay, so it is a straight line. It means only this coordinate, only if we consider it y-axis, then only y coordinate is changing. So either x coordinate or y coordinate or z coordinate, any of the three coordinate. but only one coordinate will change, then the motion is said to be one-dimensional motion. Clear? So the examples are motion of a car on a straight road, okay, motion of a train on its rails. But when the train turns on a circular track, then the motion is not a one-dimensional motion. Okay, so whenever up to which point any car, any bike or anything is moving on a straight line path, then the motion is said to be one-dimensional motion. So the definition is this: if only one coordinate changes, position of one coordinate changes, then the motion is said to be one-dimensional motion. Okay, so write one example. The motion of a car, motion of a bike on a straight path is known as one-dimensional motion. Now second is two-dimensional motion. Second one is two-dimensional motion. So what will be two-dimensional motion? Second one is 2D motion, two-dimensional motion. So what will be its definition? When only in one dimension it was one coordinate, so in two-dimensional it will be two coordinates. When only two coordinates of position of a particle changes with time in a given frame of reference, then that particular motion is said to be two-dimensional motion. When two coordinate of the position of a particle changes with time in a given frame of reference, then that motion is said to be two-dimensional motion. Okay, so how will this motion takes place? Suppose you are moving on your floor, okay, on the road, on a floor, anything. So when you move on a road or floor and your motion is not on a straight line, suppose I start moving from here, first I go at this point, then I move here, then this time. So in this way, when I am moving on this floor, my position is changing. When I am going this way, then our x coordinate is changing. Suppose now I move in this direction, then our y coordinate changes. So if we move on a floor in random direction, and what is the floor or the ground? It is x-axis, it is y-axis. Suppose the particle starts from this point. Let the coordinates here be x1 comma y1. It reaches at point B. Now at this point, both the coordinates are changing, x2 comma y2. The position of x-axis is changing and the position along y-axis is also changing. It means when both the coordinates or when two coordinates of a particle changes with respect to time in a given frame of reference, then that motion, this motion from A to B on xy axis is said to be two-dimensional motion. Okay, so when you move up your bike, up to which point you are moving on a straight line, that particular path is known as one-dimensional motion. But when you will take a turn, so as you start taking the turn, then there will be change of two coordinates. Okay, suppose you are moving on this road. Suppose this is a road and you are moving on this road from this point to this point. So it is a straight line path. So up to point A to B, your motion is a one-dimensional motion. But suppose here is a turn. This road turns in this way. So as you take the turn, then this motion will be converted to the two-dimensional motion. Okay. So what is two-dimensional motion? When two coordinates of position of a particle changes with time in a given frame of reference, then that motion is said to be two-dimensional motion. Clear? So what will be the example? Whenever car take a turn on the road, whenever train takes a turn on a circular track. Okay. So these all will be the example of two-dimensional motion. Now third is three-dimensional motion. What is three-dimensional motion? So what will be the definition? When all the three coordinates of position of a particle changes with the time in a given frame of reference, then that motion is said to be three-dimensional motion, 3D motion or three-dimensional motion. So what is the definition? When all the three coordinate of position of a particle changes with the time in a given frame of reference, then that motion is said to be three-dimensional motion. Okay. So what is three dimension? Suppose I am moving on this floor, or I start moving on a road, then until I am on the floor or on the road, then the motion may be one dimensional or two dimensional. If we move on a straight path, then it will be one dimensional motion. If we start moving like this here and there, then it will be a two dimensional motion. But when will be it converted to three dimensional? If I start jumping here and there, starting from this point and jump to that point, then jump to this there. Okay, it means my x coordinate is changing, my y coordinate is changing, and my z coordinate is also changing. Okay, so that motion will said to be three-dimensional motion. Clear? Because x y axis is a like our flow, this like this board. If we consider this board, so this part of the board is considered as y-axis. This part of the board will be considered as z-axis, and the outside, all the thing outside this board will be considered as z-axis. Okay, let us take another example. Suppose this is our book. Okay, so this border of the book, it will be considered as x-axis. This border of the book will be considered as y-axis. So what is z-axis? Z-axis is like this, the direction of our marker outside the book. Okay, this is our x-axis, this is our y-axis, and this axis that is outside the book, it is known as z-axis. So when all the three coordinates will change, suppose if a particle start from this point, and is moving along this border only, so it will be a one-dimensional motion. If it is moving along this border only, it will also be a one-dimensional motion. But if it start moving like this, then it will be a two-dimensional motion, because it is moving on xy plane. X-axis is changing, y-axis is changing in this way. This will be a two-dimensional motion. But when it will be set to three-dimensional motion, suppose now this pen was moving on this x-axis, y-axis. Now suppose this pen is moving in this way. It starts moving from, take the cap only, it starts moving here, from here, goes in this way, then turn here, and suddenly it jumps up and then again down. Okay, it jumps up and then again on the book, then move here, there, and jump. So this random motion, it is moving along this direction, it is moving along this direction, and it is also moving along this direction. It means if the direction of motion is along x-axis, along y-axis, and along z-axis, if the direction of motion is along all the three axes, then that particular motion will be said to be three-dimensional motion. Clear? So when all the three coordinate of position of a particle changes with time in a given frame of reference, then that particular motion is known as three-dimensional motion. What will be the example? Give an example of three-dimensional motion. If we talk about the motion of birds fly. You have ever seen the motion of bird? Is there any particular direction for the motion of bird? Suppose a bird is sitting here. Okay, it will move from this point to this point, maybe move from this point, and maybe come out of the board. Suppose the bird is sitting on this book. Suppose this is a bird, so it may fly upward. It may fly in this direction. It may fly in this direction, in this direction, this direction. Means the bird can fly in any direction. All the three coordinates will change. So the motion of bird is the best example of 3D motion. Clear? Give any one example, any other example also. Okay, let us take an example in which all the three motion 1D, 2D and 3D can exist together. Suppose an aeroplane, you take an example of aeroplane. When aeroplane is moving on its runway, okay, when it is going to fly, then it moves on its runway. So until it is moving on the runway of the plane, then that motion is one dimensional motion. Suppose this is the runway. Suppose this is the runway. Let us take the example on this book also. So suppose there is a runway. This is a plane. It starts moving from this point. So it will move in a straight line on this runway. So until that point where the plane is moving on the straight line, this motion is one dimensional motion because the plane moves straight on the runway. So it is a one dimensional motion. If the runway is not turned, there are many runways where there is also a turn, but I am talking about that runway which is exactly straight. So the plane starts moving from this point. It is moving on the runway. So until the point it just take up, until that point, suppose the plane takes up from this point. So the plane starts moving from this point, and when it is moving in a straight line, then it is a one dimensional motion. Now the plane reaches at the point where it takes up. So as the plane starts taking up, like in this way, look at the pen. Here it is in the contact of the ground. Now when it starts leaving the contact with the ground in this way, then its coordinates are changing. It from this point to this point, only one axis is changing, only one coordinate is changing. But when it takes up, now two axes are changing. X axis is changing and outside the book is Z axis. So Z axis is also changing. So at the point of taking off, the motion of the plane is two-dimensional motion. Up to the point where the plane was on the runway, that motion is one-dimensional motion. As the plane leaves the runway and starts taking off, then this particular point is 2D motion. And when it moves up, then again moving up, it is a 2D motion. And when it sets in a particular path, it starts moving on a straight path, then its motion is again one dimensional motion. Okay, so a plane shows two motion. On the runway, the motion of a plane is a straight line motion. When it takes off, then there is two dimensional motion. And again when it sets up its path in the sky, then again its motion is one dimensional motion. Okay, now if in a certain condition there is a plane crash, if plane crashes, then what is the direction of that motion? If planes crash in the sky, then it will be a random motion, like the motion of bird. Plane may go like this. So this motion will be a three-dimensional motion. Okay, so I hope now you are able to understand all the three dimensions of motion. 1D only one coordinate, 2D two coordinate, and in 3D all the three coordinates will change. Okay, so you have to note down the definition with example also. So the motion of aeroplane may show one dimension, two dimension and three dimensional motion. Okay, so we have discussed all the three types of motion, 1D, 2D and 3D. Now in the next class we will start discussing from the uniform and non-uniform motion.